No, I don't know the specific date. That's on the accident. Couple days before. Could be, okay.
Your Honor, addressing this with Ms. Mitchell, she, based off her memory here today, cannot remember specifically an actual date as to the last use of THC. She believes it to be right around the time of the accident, whether it was a day or two before or right around that time frame. I think the inconsistencies, however they came about here, I would note, regardless, we're looking at almost 2 full years of sobriety. Taking that into consideration.
I do understand that, but I need to understand the night of the incident and what we're talking about there. Am I recalling incorrectly? I can't, and I'm trying to review to see if there was any THC use, whether insignificant, small, whatever, the night of the incident. Because I do understand what's stated by Mr. Schmidt and the district attorney's office, as well as what's in the PSI, that there was some detected and it was minimal. However, I need to have my brain fully understand the facts of the case. Was THC consumed that night, even in a minuscule quantity?
I honestly do not remember that night, but I know that there's like a Delta 8, Delta 9 cartridge that has been used either the day before or that morning. So,
Okay, all right. Anything else you want to add, Mr. Gondek, before I move on and ask Ms. Mitchell for a statement if she wishes to provide one?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Mitchell, I'm going to give you an opportunity right now to let the court know anything you want me to know. You don't have to provide a statement, but again, it's your time to reflect on this incident, to address any remorse, to let the court know any difference in facts that there may be or that you have heard here today. Again, you don't have to, but it is your only opportunity.
yes, I will.
And if you're going to read something, please read it slowly. And I understand, I see that you're filled with emotion right now. Please make sure that you enunciate your words so that I can understand them as well as the court reporter.
Okay. I wanted to start off saying that I deeply apologize for the loss that I caused, and I take full responsibility for my actions that took place that night. I understand the seriousness of my actions and the impact they have on this family and the community. I truly wish I had done something differently that night, and I'm not here to blame anyone else but myself for my actions. And I'm so very sorry that I didn't think more clearly and more safely. My intentions were never for this to happen, and I was wrong for making a decision so big. I always think, could I have done differently? And there's a lot I could have done, and I wish I could go back and do those things. I also know that I can't change the past. However, I am committed to learning from it and doing everything in my power to grow into a better, more responsible person, not just for myself, but for my family, my community, and my child, and everyone who is counting on me. Once again, I deeply apologize for my actions and for the pain and grief that I have caused. Since that time, I've stayed committed to my recovery and building a stable and healthy environment for my baby and I by attending weekly therapy sessions, staying sober, and surrounding myself with positive influences. During my time in therapy, I have noticed changes in my character. I've become more patient, more open to my emotions, and it's always been a safe place to help me work on my emotions and through the trauma that I have experienced. I truly am grateful for the progress that's been made and for being able to develop healthy coping mechanisms and learning to communicate my emotions properly. I've maintained a steady employment to provide financially. I've held myself accountable and stayed disciplined even when things get uncomfortable or challenging. I've been doing everything I can emotionally, mentally, and physically to keep my life moving in a more responsible direction. Staying sober has also provided me with a more clear mind. It has helped me make a stronger connections and relationships with my family and my peers. And for that, I am very appreciative for the support system I have developed. Next, I'd like to talk about becoming a mother. The love that I have for my son is immeasurable. I've cherished every moment with him so far. However, I could not fathom the loss of anyone's child. And that is a pain I pray to never endure. And it's something too heavy for me to fully grasp or understand. I do understand the love, but I will never understand the loss. And I am truly sorry. I respectfully ask the court to consider a sentence that will allow me to continue the progress I've made and remain present in my baby's life. I understand the consequences of my actions, and I'm not asking to avoid accountability, but rather an opportunity to continue proving that I'm capable of lasting change. Whether that includes house arrest, probation, or continued treatment, I'm committed to fulfilling any conditions the court sees fit while staying focused on my recovery and responsibilities. Thank you, Your Honor, for giving me the chance to speak and for taking the time to listen to my words. I truly appreciate the opportunity to express my remorse, my growth, and my commitment to a responsible future. I understand the seriousness of my actions. That's why I'm pushing so hard to become better, not for only me, but for my son. And your time and consideration means more than I can express.
Thank you. First and foremost, the court, and I'm sure all of the court officials in this room offer condolences for the loss of Katrina. She sounds like a remarkable young lady who was taken from this earth way too soon. Way too soon. I have gotten the pleasure to hear about her through not only the information contained in these documents that I have and that I've reviewed many times, but through the victim impact statements. She sounds and appears to me to be a person who, when they walk in the room, it just becomes a brighter place. That she was an individual who, as it has been stated, has a heart of gold and who would have done anything for anyone, even without being asked. I don't believe I've heard from anyone, including Ms. Mitchell, that she has or had a negative flaw, that she was combative or confrontational. The words that I have heard about Katrina have shown her to be an incredible woman who has been taken again far too soon. I do not want to see the loss of her be in vain in any way. A case like this and other cases, perhaps with losses, they're not easy for the court. I am, as all other judges are to be, robots. I hear the information, I have it inputted, and then I need to process that and then to spit it out in a form of a sentence. It is not to be an emotional process for the court. I am to be rational. Although this is a very emotional day for everybody inside this courtroom. I have said this before and I will say it again because if I could, I certainly would. I wish I had a magic wand and I could turn that wand and turn back time and change the outcome. The outcome from that very tragic day of October 4th, 2023. Nothing that I say and nothing that I do and no sentence that I give here today or I render can bring back Katrina. I wish it could. Katrina lives in her family and friends. Katrina lives in those stories that are told over and over again at the family functions and to our children and to our friends. Katrina's memory is bright and beautiful. I really wish I could take away the pain. And I hear and I've heard a lot of anger and frustration. And I'm not saying that that is wrong. We are human. And I have no clue. I cannot even imagine the pain that the family is feeling. I cannot imagine feeling the horror of that day or having my heart feel like it's being ripped out of my chest. I cannot imagine the pain of a father coming up to an accident and doing what he's done for 16 or so years in helping to save people's lives and helping to help those who are in dire need, and to come up to this very tragic accident only to see it is his daughter laying there. And knowing, as he stated, how horrible and how hard it is for a body to have CPR done to it. Knowing what happens to a body when you're trying to revive it and seeing it is his daughter. I never want to experience that personal pain in my life. And I feel for the family and the friends and everyone going through this pain. I have heard from Miss Mitchell, and I have also read in the documents that Katrina was her friend. Katrina's loss has impacted Miss Mitchell as well. It has impacted her family. The facts of this case are very tragic. To have such a tragic death occur 3 miles from your home, and to have to drive by that scene multiple times a week or even a day, and knowing that every time you drive by that, your heart sinks to your stomach and it gets ripped out of your chest, figuratively, every time. As Katrina's mother stated, it is now a dark world for her, and her void, the void of the loss of Katrina, cannot be filled. It can never be filled.
That hearing had a little bit of everything. The sentencing in state of Wisconsin versus Eliza Mitchell ended on an emotional and deeply human note, showing just how complex justice can be when tragedy and remorse collide. This wasn't about a defendant refusing to accept responsibility. It was about one pleading for a second chance, and a court trying to balance that against a life lost far too soon. Judge Mogen, true to form, delivered a ruling that was rational, measured, and infused with humanity. Let's start with Eliza's own words. Her statement to the court was heartfelt and clearly difficult to deliver. She owned up to her actions, apologized directly and sincerely, and reflected on the changes she's made in the wake of the crash. She talked about therapy, sobriety, becoming a mother, and staying employed. And to her credit, it didn't feel rehearsed. It felt real. She acknowledged the grief she caused and never once tried to shift blame. Her message was simple. She knows she can't undo the past, but she's doing everything she can to build a better future. Then came Judge Mogen's remarks, and they were some of the most compassionate, grounded words we've heard from the bench. The judge made it clear no sentence could bring back Katrina, the victim, who by all accounts was a remarkable young woman. From the stories shared, it's obvious Katrina was a bright light, loving, thoughtful, the kind of person who lifts up everyone around her. The loss to her family and friends is incalculable. Her father, a first responder, found his daughter at the crash scene. That kind of trauma doesn't fade, it leaves a permanent mark. Judge Mogen also addressed the emotional toll on all sides. She acknowledged that this case, like so many involving fatal negligence, isn't easy to sentence. There's no perfect resolution. And while the court isn't supposed to rule based on emotion, the humanity of the moment was impossible to ignore. Her words about Katrina living on through memories, through the stories told at family gatherings, and through her bright presence in the hearts of her loved ones brought a grace note to a heartbreaking case. As for the inconsistencies around Eliza's THC use, the judge didn't let it slide, but also didn't let it derail the bigger picture. She recognized that while questions remained about the exact timeline, what mattered most was how Eliza had lived since the incident, and by all accounts, she stayed sober and committed to rebuilding. Still, Judge Mogen was clear. This sentence isn't a pass, it's accountability, tailored to encourage continued growth while respecting the gravity of the offense. So where does that leave us? With a courtroom that did what it's supposed to do, apply the law with empathy, weigh consequences against progress, and strive to deliver justice in a case where no outcome could ever make things whole again. If you found this hearing insightful, consider subscribing, hitting the bell, and letting me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one.